Well, Sean, like we've seen so many times over the last 3 years, every time House Republicans on the Intelligence Committee come up with real information and put it out there, what do? They smear the messenger. And the problem that CNN has this time, and the Daily Beast, is, look, I understand the last week and a half, it was a disaster for them. It was a train wreck for them. So what did they have to do? They had to come out and say, well, look, Devin Nunes was actually the one that was meeting with all of these Ukrainians. So sorry, CNN, it's totally false. So we put out a very clear statement after the story came out on Friday night, saying it's demonstrably false, total fake news. And I will tell you, Sean, for all of the last 3 years, including the Russia hoax to the Ukraine hoax, this is the mother of all fake news stories. There is not one bigger than this. And so next week, we are going to take them to court. They will have an opportunity to come to court so that we can subpoena each other, we can get discovery, we can set people down for depositions. And I have a bet for you, Sean. CNN and the Daily Beast are going to run for cover. They're going to fight this. They're not going to show up in court. They're not going to accept service. So look, but at the end of the day, I'm going to track them down. And I'm going to hold them accountable, because this has just gone on for too long, and this is the only way we're going to be able to get retribution and be able to seek fairness and transparency in the media is by holding them accountable.
If you watched the impeachment hearings last week, you may have noticed a disconnect between what you actually saw and the mainstream media accounts describing it. On a nearly daily basis, the top news outlets in America reported breathlessly on the newest bombshell revelations, showing that President Trump and everyone surrounding him were Russian agents. There was no objectivity or fairness in the media's Russia stories, just as a fevered rush to tarnish and remove a president who refuses to pretend that the media are something different from what they really are, puppets of the Democratic Party. After trying out several different accusations against President Trump, the Democrats have recently settled on bribery. According to widespread reports, they replaced their quid pro quo allegation because it wasn't polling well. But if the Democrats and the media are suddenly so deeply concerned about bribery, you would think they would take some interest in Burisma paying Hunter Biden $83,000 a month. And you think they would be interested in Joe Biden threatening to withhold U.S. loan guarantees unless the Ukrainians fired a prosecutor who was investigating Burisma. That would be a textbook example of bribery. The media, of course, are free to act as Democrat puppets, and they're free to lurch from the Russia hoax to the Ukraine hoax at the direction of their puppet masters. Americans have learned to recognize fake news when they see it, and if the mainstream press won't give it to them straight, they'll go elsewhere to find it. For those of you at home, it's time to change the channel, turn down the volume, or hide the kids, put them to bed. Now I yield to Mr. Schiff for Storytime Hour.
I thank the gentleman, as always, for his remarks.
The problem with this week's fake news story is we actually caught them. And we caught them badly. We are going to take both CNN and the Daily Beast likely into federal court right after Thanksgiving. It is not okay to work with someone who has been indicted on serious federal crime to build a media narrative and dirty up a member of Congress.
Well, that was Devin Nunes, the ranking member on the Intel Committee, doubling down, pushing back against reports claiming he worked with Ukrainians to dig up dirt on former VP Joe Biden and his son Hunter. Now he's threatening to sue some media outlets. Let's bring in today's headliner, New York Congressman Lee Zeldin, a Republican on the Foreign Affairs Committee, joins us now. Congressman, good morning to you and welcome. So you saw your colleague there pushing back on those reports over the weekend. What did you think?
You have an indicted criminal defendant who's peddling hearsay laundered through his attorney. Devin Nunes is a great patriot. When he says that this story is demonstrably false, if he's calling it fake news, I believe Devin. And in one case, you have the ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee who's been doing great work for a very long time. And in another case, you have someone who's facing serious jail time trying to curry favor. So this case seems to be likely going to federal court. It seems like where Lev Parnas was laying right on top of an electric fence, inviting some members of the media to lay on it with him, they took the bait and they ran with a story that they should be racing to retract right now.
He's saying he's vowing to take them to court. He's going to let the holiday week pass, and he says we're going to take both CNN and Daily Beast likely into federal court, Congressman, right after Thanksgiving, and we hope they cooperate. Do you support his decision to go on and sue these outlets?
Devin, absolutely. Devin has had enough of being slandered for, as he said, he's the messenger. For many years, he's been calling out a lot of what he sees. He calls balls and strikes accurately. There are some who may not like the way that he is just so candidly, brutally honest. He is someone who is supportive of the president. He holds Adam Schiff accountable whenever Schiff lies. If the media is not saying something that's accurate, Devin Nunes will just call it out for what it is. And for that, he has a big target on his back. In this case, the media chose to run with a story slandering Devin Nunes, which Devin says is demonstrably false. And I'm sure that if Devin is saying what he's saying and planning on taking him to court, that he's got the goods, and that some of these other media outlets are dead to rights.
Okay, he said it should be fun with regard to taking CNN and the Daily Beast to court. Let's see where that goes.